you knew that Dad loved a good party. Sadly, he would have cleared everything out so he could have a dance floor. And he would have been on that thing the whole time like he was on my 50th birthday last summer. I mean, he danced for an hour and probably several hours straight. It was pretty amazing. So thank you all very much for coming. You know, he was Dad. He was kind, he was caring, but to all of you, he was a whole lot of other things. And I know a lot of you don't know each other, so do a little hands up. Let's see. And before we start, this is John Shera's service. Bingo is in 203, in case you're wondering. Exactly. Or you can go to that at 3 o'clock. So let's see. Before we start, I'd like to do a big group photos. Because, well, you know, Dad also liked photos. Sweet. There we go. Now we can remember all the awesome people that were here, because I think I have 37 seconds allotted to talk to each person. Before I start, I should probably do some thanks. Thank you to Lisa. She spent her whole life with Dad, well, not her whole life, but you know, a long time taking care of Dad and having fun and throwing tiki parties and doing great things with them. And you know, to my siblings and Lisa, who over the last few years took a lot of care of him. You know, Parkinson's, dementia, they affect you. So it's huge to have that kind of support living in your house. And he never had to live in a home. And you know, I mean, he was, even in his last days, he was still dancing in his bed, which was absolutely amazing to see. So, you know, that's some pretty awesome stuff. Again, thank you all for coming. And thanks to Ken Yujimoto, who sat beside him for 30 years at ITI, taking care of him, his conscience, his guide, his best friend. Thank you, Ken. So, you know, and then of course, Andy and Jackson, who are my support system, my wife and son. He's the one with the mohawk. She's the awesome one over there smiling. So, show of hands, family. So this is quite a few families. We have a lot of family that are still in Ontario, but you know, great to see so many out. BCSC. A lot of BCSC fans. How many of them remember the Bats and Bites? How many remember Dad doing cartwheels to second base every time he hit a home run? It was a 2-run rule, and he always did a cartwheel if he got a home run. BC government. Hockey. There's many grades of hockey. Ball hockey. Bats and let's see, the disappointed Habs fans. They just lost yesterday, so they're not in the playoffs. Dad was a massive Habs fan, as everyone should know. Sunday morning with Morley. Anyone play hockey on Sunday mornings with Morley? I did. Oh, Dad and Dennis. Schooners. Those guys took me to the strip club when I was 16. Thank you, guys. Good times. I do.
Yeah, so do I.
Also learned lots on a Vancouver hockey tour with them on a tournament. They had a really interesting mascot that most people didn't learn about. Ask any one of them about it. And then Labatt's Blues. One of the Blues. How many people did he do something nice for? Because that was kind of the thing about Dad. He went out of his way to do really kind things for people, and it was his go-to. It was amazing. It was inspiring, and that felt really good to know that you know, I got to follow in that sort of mentor. It was pretty exciting. Now, how many of you did he try and sell something to? His motto growing up was, you know what, if you can't find a job, everything needs to be sold. And he's right, and he got that from his dad. Grandpa was a used car salesman, actually. I remember Grandpa when I was growing up, and he was the white outfit. It looked like he was a golfer, all in white, and he would always be trying to sell cars or something. But I used to go to the auctions with him, but Dad actually started when he was 14, and him and his brothers would go to the auctions with Grandpa in Toronto. They would drive 3.5, 4 hours to Toronto to go to these auctions. They'd sell off one of Grandpa's lemons. They'd buy 3 or 4 more, and they'd drive back to Chatham, to Merlin. And he was 14 when he was doing that. And he was doing that drive every week for years before he had a license. So, he loved that. He got to spend all that time driving a new car every week. He never had to buy a car when he was young because he always had access to the lot. Always had access to lot plates. It was great. And him and his brothers the same thing. And so that was a big thing for him. As you know, he loved a good party. He loved to dance. My grandma was one of 14, so we had quite the French family. So we got that influence a little bit as well, which was pretty awesome. He actually grew up in small town Ontario, him and 2 of his brothers. And he grew up playing football, which is something that I'm sure if you picture Dad, you go, that doesn't seem right. Their high school quarterback was Eric Lindros's dad, which he hated because he was apparently good looking, tall, and all the girls loved him. And his son became a famous hockey player, so, Wow, I didn't become a famous hockey player. Most probably don't know that he was an addicted smoker, heavily addicted. He quit when I was born. He never smoked again, and he never ever tried drugs in his entire life because he said he was so addicted to smoking. He couldn't imagine. He never gambled and he never tried drugs because he was so addicted to that. And it was kind of interesting that he refused. He was definitely a tenacious hockey player. I think everyone here whether or not he had the skill, he had the tenacious attitude to just keep at it. It didn't matter. And it didn't matter whether it was work, it was life, it was hockey. He was always out there trying to do the best he could, no matter what it was, which was the best part about him. I think when I picture him playing hockey, he was smaller than a lot of people, but he was in there always. He was right in the center. He never wanted to fight. He never picked a fight. He always did it cleanly, and he always had fun. He was always out there with work. I mean, we in the 80s, so he grew up in a poor family. It was always about hard work. He always worked hard to get it. He actually lost, in the 80s, my parents lost the house. It was something that he never talked about, but in the 90s, Corbin changed ITI, almost decimated it again. Put the time in, work hard, and drive forward to try and do something right. And ITI was never something he did for money. He often told me, if I win $1 million tomorrow, I'll put it in the company, every penny of it, and run it until it's gone. And I kept going, this is not the right model. But it took me years to realize that his model for ITI wasn't about money. It wasn't about having 1,000 people working for him. It was doing what he loved. He loved ITI. How many people work with ITI or for ITI? I know I did for a long time. And that was his dream was ITI. He absolutely loved it. He got to spend time with clients. And how many were clients? I see so many people here that I recognize and many of you had your hands up multiple times over it. It was all about people, and that was the best part about Dad, I think, is that he loved people, and he loved to have fun. So he was also a terrible golfer, and if anyone has seen his golfing, it was some kind of crazy swing that he had. But he did it for fun, and Jim Ireland often said, "Just take me for lunch," because Jim refused to golf with him. His favorite food was seafood. I see food and I eat it. He often said that. The other second favorite was licorice, and dark matter beer was a close third. He loved to do stuff around the house, but he wasn't very handy. So it was again. He tried hard. And when we were in Ontario, my uncle told me a story about Dad when he was younger, and he was building in our basement suite, and he was drywalling. They'd framed it out, and he was drywalling this stuff. And my uncle came downstairs, and he opened the door, and it was just powder everywhere. And he's like, "John, what the hell are you doing?" And he walks down, and he finds him finally, and Dad's got 2 little dots in his glasses. He's covered in white dust, and he's got his skill saw, and he's cutting drywall with a skill saw. And Roger walks over and he pulls out his knife and he cuts it and he smacks it and he's like, "There you go." And you know, he learned from his mistakes, I think, is the lesson there. He probably shortened his life by 10 years just from the drywall dust, but and then apparently the year later he decided to cement the driveway. And he was proud of himself, and he framed it all out, and he's working barefoot because it was hot, and the cement felt really nice in his feet. And as he's smoothing it out, and then he gets out and realizes that cement is carcinogenic and burned his feet, and he went to the hospital for, had them wrapped. So, his handy skills, he always tried, and I think that's the key. He absolutely loved to take care of people. If you were ever at the house, you knew that. Tiki bar parties were all Lisa's, but the blackened chicken, blackened hamburgers, the burnt toast, that was all Dad. He could burn stuff like the best of us and better. I think he grew up with burnt toast, so he just lived his life with it. We would scrape half of it into the sink, and it was always good, But with enough butter, everything tastes better, apparently. Other than that, I think, that he loved to dance, he loved people, he loved the best things in life, which were family and friends. And so he would really appreciate all of you coming here to support him and be part of his journey, because it's really important that for us that you're all here. It's amazing. I think there's a set of punch cards out there, Jeff. Over by Jeff, there's a set of punch cards from Arnold, our sponsor. Arnold has stored punch cards from the old days. Who knows what a punch card is? There you go. For the rest, just ask somebody who had their hand up. When you programmed in the old days, you used punch cards, and for 20 years, Arnold was Dad's sponsor for punch cards. He would take those punch cards to meetings, and he would do all his notes on them. And about half of the people, maybe it was this dwindling amount of people who actually knew what it was, but it gave him a story to tell. And now I have a bunch for the conference I'm going to. I'm pretty stoked. I also have my business cards here somewhere, so if anyone's hiring, I've got some business cards. No. Although he would be remiss if I didn't actually, hand out one card at an event, because that was his goal, was to hand out cards to every single person in the whole place. I think the last few things, Dad's words of wisdom. Every time we were going to go out somewhere, he said, "No matter where you are, what you're doing, whatever time it is, call me, I will pick you up." It didn't matter. He was always there for us. He always said before we left, no sex, no booze, no drugs, shoplifting's no way to make your mark in life. And that was always great. And then he always said, treat people with kindness, because if they're having a bad day, they're not going to tell you what's in their life, but there are a lot of difficult people that are difficult because of something that's going on in their world, and be kind to them, because that's what his world was like. He had a lot of heavy shit in his life, and he wanted to keep that apart from people. He wanted to be happy. He wanted people to know the positive things about his life. He wanted people to smile, and he wanted to have parties. That's who he was. So, thank you all. The last thing I'll say is a networking challenge, because that's what Dad would honor. Walk around, spend the next 4 minutes while Lisa gets ready, and just walk around and meet somebody you don't know and ask him how you knew him and what he tried to sell you. Thank you all very much for coming.